I'm a delivery driver that finds stuff to flip on my route for money.
That's a tall boy on the side of the road.
And I'll even load it up in 16-degree weather.
Nothing like a little heavy labor to warm you up.
Now before you get mad, this is my personal truck. The first thing I did was put on my happy pajamas and then come out and take off all of the hardware, and I put it in a baggie. I will lose it if I don't do it this way. Sometimes I even go so far as to duct tape it to the back of the piece of furniture because duct tape really does fix everything. The front of this piece has a lot of chipped and bubbled veneer. I'm removing as much of it as I can and then sanding it smooth. Once it's as smooth as I can get it, I mix up a butt ton of Bondo. Yes, a butt ton, because look at all this damage. Like, I had to fix so much on this piece. But I feel like it's going to be worth it in the end. Once the Bondo's dried and sanded completely smooth, I'm going to seal it in with a satin clear coat because Bondo's a slightly porous product, and when I paint this, I don't want it to look different over the Bondo than it does the whole rest of the drawer. So a satin clear coat will make the whole thing cohesive. Now, because I'm going to be doing some blending on this piece, we'll be using water in the navy and Savannah Mist, which are of the Dixie Belle chalk paint line. Excuse me while I stutter. And I love this paint because 2 coats and I'm done. I'm all about the easy paint job. It's also really easy to blend, and I always blend my first coat as if it were the second coat. If you make your first coat blockish, it makes it a lot more difficult to cover it all up when you're trying to blend your second coat in. So most people would get their inspiration from like scenery or a Pinterest board, maybe a fellow artist. Mine for this piece came from a Ukrainian miniseries that I'm completely addicted to on Prime called Love and Chains. Like, is that normal? But no, seriously, look at this wallpaper though. And if I could only give you one tip for blending, it would be get one brush per color that you're using and then a whole nother brush for each line that you're trying to blend together, preferably synthetic and soft. Here you'll see this tiny little belt where there was veneer damage and I put Bondo in it, but I can't get a sander in there because I don't like to sand. I got this wood you bend rope molding. We're gonna go over that damage. Be careful if you're using a heat gun. Always put it on low. It will burn the absolute beep out of you if you don't. So here's the cool thing with wood you bend. When it comes in your shipment, it's like hard as a rock, but if you heat it up, then it becomes pliable and bendy. So while your wood you bend is still warm, you're going to want to apply the wood glue. I'm using Gorilla wood glue here, but you can use Titebond or whatever you have on hand. If you have a small piece of wood you bend, it works great. You put it on here, but with these rope, they start to cool off. Like, I'm not able to work that quickly. So you can see it still had some ripples in it as it was starting to cool down. So as I'm working my way down the line, I've got my heat gun on low, and I'm just kind of, as it becomes more pliable with the heat gun, I'm pressing it in with my fingers to make sure that it's adhering well and in a straight line. Then I just repeated this process a second time. Now, because my ends don't match up, I warmed them up. I've got a razor blade, but you could use a quarter, butter knife, whatever you have on hand. Clean up with a lint-free cloth, and then get to painting. Again, using Dixie Belle's In the Navy and Wood You Bend's Posh Chalk Brush, which has precisely cut bristles up to this point, which makes it so easy to get into the details. If you were to use a bigger brush, flat bristles, then it would take you longer and you'd use a lot more paint. Now that I'm completely finished with this layer, I'm going to seal it in using a satin clear coat. And here it is, painted and clear coated, hiding all of that damage underneath. So all of the original hardware is intact, but I don't like the color. Generally gold is my go-to, but I'm feeling bronzy on this piece, probably because I'm ready for my summer tan. Ooh, kind of wish I was that color. Then I could wear yellow and orange all year long. I'm just basically coloring the whole piece. Meow. Let's do a comparison, shall we? Yeah, bronze is the right choice. Bless you. So I'm just going to repeat that 50 times, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 times. That was close. Proof that thick thighs save lives. Now, am I going to wait until that dries before I put it on? No. I recommend doing that, but that's not what I'm actually going to do. I'm just going to be really, really careful. So here's the point in time when I realized that I can't reach the top of this drawer to put the hardware in. And I'm gonna have to sell it to like a basketball player or maybe a normal sized person and throw in the bar stool so that they can get their stuff in that top drawer. Some of these are a little bit bent, so we're gonna take them out and put them in the press. Straighten them right on up. Down right on. So I just realized something. And that is, when I was doing all the Bondo work to fix these drawers, I actually covered up the holes for where the drawer thingies go. The drawer thingies. The pulls, where the pulls go. I filled that hole in. So now I gotta put in new ones. I actually did it 4 times over. Fun stuff. So let's measure like good little construction workers. So always measure 15 times so that you poke the right hole. Actually, what I could have done was press the drill through the holes already on the inside of the drawer. But alas, that never struck my mind until after it was already all done. It's missing something. I think I want to lighten it up just a little bit, so we're going to do maybe a whitewash with some drop cloth. I don't know. We could completely screw it up and go back to this. I'm not sure. That's what I have, so that's what we're going with. In order to get a successful wash, I like to spray my piece with water and then apply the paint with a wet paintbrush. You can paint on as much or as little as you like and then wipe it back with a wet, lint-free cloth. I'll repeat this process over the entire piece. Now this process is only doable because I've clear coated the entire piece in a satin clear coat. It's sealing off the porousness of the chalk paint. Spraying the piece with water and then using a wet brush to apply the paint just allows you to get more of a watery finish. And using a lint-free cloth instead of just a regular cloth allows you to wipe it back without leaving dust and hair particles in there. And if you're feeling spicy like I was this day, you can do little crisscross patterns with your brush to kind of create a little extra texture, give it a little more dimension. And then this is a dry lint-free cloth and I'm patting back until I get the look that I want. Now it's time to sit back and assess one more time. Still missing something. When I'm not sure what a piece needs, I lean on the inspiration for it, which in this case was my Ukrainian miniseries, complete with subtitles. So in the show, there's a lot of bronze. I'm going to get my bronze gilding wax and my stencil. I do recommend getting a spray adhesive to put on the back of your stencil when you're doing this. That will guarantee you don't have to hold it up with your head, which I was already into the job and it was too late. I didn't want to move anything, so we're just going to go with it. This is also really risky for me because if I pull this stencil off and I hate it, like I'll have to redo this whole thing. Fingers crossed that it doesn't suck. Okay, not only does it not suck, I actually love it so much that I'm going to basically just wrap this piece in a great big giant bronze gilding wax hug. I think it's my favorite piece now.